Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to the Hydration with Heart segment, brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut, the premium coconut water brand that keeps us refreshed, aligned, and deeply rooted in wellness. In an age where burnout is rising and more than 60% of adults report feeling emotionally disconnected from nature and themselves, that's according to a study by the American Psychological Association, reconnecting to something bigger, something ancient, isn't just healing, it's totally necessary. Our guest today is not just doing that. Asia Noël is a multifaceted, creative healer and mother from Richmond, Virginia, whose journey has captured the hearts of over 175,000 followers and counting. Her work bridges spirit and self through a grounded reverence for nature, motherhood, and deep-rooted inner healing. Asia draws wisdom from her son, Kazier, and from Gaia, a tree in her backyard she lovingly calls her spiritual partner. With sacred dialogue and a radical presence, she's turning everyday moments into something deeply sacred. This is a story of a young woman who whispers to trees, and yes, they whisper back. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much for having me, Zen. Thank you so much for iHeartRadio. I'm so excited to be here and talk about Gaia, healing, and all of the things.
Asia, okay, let's begin with this powerful term, tree whispering. What does it mean to you, and how did this relationship with Gaia, your backyard tree, first begin?
Yeah, so tree whispering, it's really less about like talking to trees and more about just listening with your spirit. And so, when I talk to trees and, and engage in a dialogue, it's through energy. And so it's, when Gaia responds back, she responds through energy. And so some people say that it's, they respond telepathically or, just energetically. But I have, yes, found that I can have a call and response type relationship with Gaia, which is the tree in my backyard. This all came about actually from a very dark time in my life. Someone that raised me survived an overdose back in 2021. And I used nature to heal myself from that. I just started walking every day. And so it just so happened that a friend told me about the book, The Hidden Life of Trees. And I put on my headphones every single day, went out there for healing, but started to educate myself and listen to the books. And so the book, The Hidden Life of Trees, and then after that, I started diving into Joe Dispenza's work and the book Becoming Supernatural, which talks all about healing and healing energetically, and using energy to heal yourself, others. And so through that, I made a connection, and Gaia kind of called to me. It's hard to say how exactly it started, but I remember going outside, just sitting in my backyard, needing to heal, and I started using trees to, basically mirror my healing. I give gratitude. I say, thank you for your oxygen. Thank you for your friendship. But then I will either ask her to touch my face, move closer to my voice, touch my shoulder, or raise her vibration, which will look like the wind to some people. But, it's really just, you see the tree not moving. And then after asking to raise its vibration, you see, the trees, whether it's Gaia or another tree, move and respond energetically.
Through their branches, they just move.
Yes, through their limbs, yes.
Now, there's something beautifully primal about that. The idea that healing doesn't have to come in a clinical setting. It could come from leaning your head against the bark of a tree and simply listening. It reminds me that nature is not separate from us. She is us. And it also reminds me of a post that went viral of a scientist who's now using artificial intelligence to translate what the trees are saying. And this is I have to get you this post. Now, that's another interview, but so many of us are glued to our screens, yet craving something real. So how do you use your digital platform to help reconnect with the earth and with yourself?
Yeah. So it wasn't easy at first because I started talking to Gaia and conversing with her in 2021. And that was after I kept it private. So my phone wasn't involved. It was just for healing. And I was on a social media break at the time. I think that's exactly why, I wasn't, the phone wasn't involved. But then back then, I remember once I started receiving responses, essentially, I was excited about it. And so I posted it on social media. It was not received well. I've been called schizo and all types of things. And so it caused some fear and some shame that I've since healed from. And I took it down, or maybe I didn't take it down, but I stopped posting it. And then something about 2025, some people say it's the age of Aquarius, but I remember talking to a different tree, which I call Every. It's in my boyfriend's backyard. And she responded. So I was like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to post this, this footage. And it took off.
Now, you're not just posting content, you're offering a portal back to presence, really. And in a world dominated by performance, that authenticity is a radical act of resistance. And I love the fact that you're combating all the naysayers. Now, your personal definition of health in your bio, I want to talk about that. So it stands for holistic empowerment, authenticity, love, transformation, and herbalism.
Yes.
Feels like both a manifesto and a mantra.
Yes, yeah.
How does hydration, both physical and energetic, fit into your vision of healing?
Absolutely. Oh, hydration is everything. It's not just drinking water. It's for me, emotional, spiritual, and cellular alignment. And so when I drink water or coconut water, I'm not only, drinking it, I'm very intentional. And so I actually infuse my water before drinking it with gratitude, with affirmation, with intention. And so that's just my practice and what I do. But I also know as a natural medicine worker that dehydration can be the root cause to some diseases. For instance, high blood pressure. A lot of people don't know that that's really the root cause. And so just by, hydrating yourself and making sure you have those natural electrolytes, whether it's coconut water or maybe putting a little lime in your water, that's the key, for it all. So hydration for cellular alignment, as well as, a healing practice. Being intentional with everything that you do is important.
And the trees thrive on water without a doubt.
Absolutely. Let's not forget and the trees need it too. We're just, I always say humans are complicated plants, and so they need water. We need water. I mean, we can learn so much about ourselves from plants, from trees, from nature.
Amen. It's fascinating how hydration becomes more than a wellness trend in your world. It becomes a conversation between body, earth, and spirit. And that's the kind of reminder we all need. Now, when life feels heavy, and we all have those moments, what's one ritual or grounding practice that helps you recalibrate?
So not only do I actually ground outside, so I go outside of my backyard with Gaia completely barefoot, but I always say, if you need to cry, give it back to the earth. Whenever I cry, if I'm able to go outside, I go outside and let my tears go back into the soil. It's a true story. I see everything as healing, and I know nature can be that for us. And so I literally go outside and cry. And if you've ever had the chance to cry in the rain, oh my God, I used to be so scared that my hair would get wet and all of that, but it's something now about, again, just kind of being one with the earth. So I always say, whenever you're going through anything, go outside. My initial healing journey had a lot to do with me walking and just getting sun. But now it's, I use it for everything, and I literally go outside. So cry, walk, ground, do it all. Nature is here to heal us and help us all.
There's something so sacred in simplicity. Thank you for saying that. A ritual like that isn't about escape. It's about arrival.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's deeply resonant, right? Now let's talk about herbalism.
Yeah.
What plants or practices do you turn to when you're seeking emotional clarity or energetic balance?
Yeah. So every morning I used to be a big coffee drinker, but I have since moved on to tea because it's a ritual to me. I think about what my body needs. And so, when I was heavy in my postpartum journey, a lion's mane mushroom in a tincture form was huge for my brain fog and just, having the mommy brain. I begin my morning every morning with soursop leaves in my tea to, help with immune function. Passion flower. So I actually have anxiety, and I was nervous about this interview, and not that I'm nervous to talk or anything, but it's just a natural, my nervous system from, just life. It needs some regulation. So passion flower. And I love the name of it because you can kind of associate the passion flower. I always say that when I'm nervous, I'm passionate. You can see me get red, but passion flower is super helpful for anxiety, grounding yourself. So I have a mixture, whether it's, mushroom teas, reishi mushroom, lion's mane mushroom, soursop, ashwagandha for energy and revitalization. So I can go on and on, but every morning I ask myself, what does my body need? And I kind of pick a herb to put in my tea from that.
You are speaking my language.
Yes.
Wow. Everything you just said, I use and do. Soursop, I don't do it in tea, but I do the drops. I love that.
Yeah.
But all of these are great recommendations. I mean, that felt like a plant-powered prayer.
Yeah, it is.
These herbs you mentioned carry stories. They carry ancestry, and you're helping to make that wisdom accessible again. You should be so proud of yourself, and you're doing it in a cool way on social media. So I love it. Now, to someone hearing tree whispering for the first time, it might sound out there. Right. How do you explain this to someone more skeptical or grounded in the scientific?
Right. So the best way that I've been able to explain it is I tell everyone, go outside and try for yourself. And I've received so many just videos of love, of people crying tears of joy because they didn't realize that it could happen for them. Go outside and give your worries to the trees, give your stress, to nature, and just watch what happens. I know it seems weird, but it's energy, and energy is everything. And we can learn so much about healing ourselves with energy as well. So
there's a quiet power in how you hold space for skepticism without trying to convince. I mean, you invite people to feel, to witness, and that's the essence of truth. I mean,
exactly. I'm not here to convince, but to awaken. So for those people that if I'm not their cup of tea, hey, I'm not your cup of tea. That's something. But for those that kind of understand like, hey, this feels correct, or understand indigenous practices, how we've always had a connection with the trees, or at least indigenous people have always had a connection with nature. And so it's kind of brings you back into a sense of remembering for a lot of people. And that's what I love.
Now, the world of wellness on social media can be tricky. Filters, trends, misinformation. What's one myth about wellness influencers you'd like to debunk?
I think that, so for instance, I call myself a healer, but that is not from a place of, preaching from a pedestal. One thing that I want people to understand about whether, it's wellness influencers or healers is that we're walking the journey with people. We have gotten to this point because we have hard times, because we're not perfect. We don't have it all together. So I hope that, if anyone sees an influencer that, is big on wellness, it's not that they're at a different place or better than people or more healed, is that we just have different tools and mechanisms to tap into healing or to tap into joy. But we walk the walk with everyone. So I don't want to seem like, and also as far as, tree talking, I don't want to be known or the only person, I don't want to be known as the only person that can talk to trees. I invite people that, hey, if you see me and I, inspire you to get into wellness or nature talking, just try for yourself, because we all have this capability. We're all human. And it's not to think that we all just have it all together just because we're healers or into, wellness. We are educating ourselves every single day how to be better. So
I love it. You just peeled back the gloss and reminded us that healing is raw, it's imperfect, and it's really deeply human. So thank you for that truth. Now, with growing attention on holistic healing, there's also a rise in false claims and skepticism. So how do you protect the integrity of your message while navigating the misinformation in the wellness space and really the bad actors that are casting doubt on influencers like yourself?
Right. You know what? I'm no longer here to convince anybody. I think my message and seeing the reaction and the love that has come from, these videos, that it's all in the education, or it's all in just going outside and trying for yourself. And so, for anyone that is doubtful, I would just say, just because you don't understand something, never try to discredit it, because there's a whole world of information that sometimes we just don't know. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And so I would say just keep an open mind. But again, I'm not here to convince anyone, just to kind of awaken those that this feels correct for, that they understand energy, they understand appreciating and honoring nature. So it's a little tough with the comments on TikTok and things like that. But I send them love, and I know that, understanding is just on the other end if they just slow down, start living an intentional life, understand energy is everything, and they can see for themselves in so many ways, so many forms.
You've taken us on a journey, one that didn't require passports or downloads, just presence. So thank you for reminding us that the deepest wisdom often comes in the stillness, in the breath between thoughts, or in the rustle of a tree answering back. And I love that.
Absolutely.
For all of those listening and watching, you could definitely follow Asia on Instagram at Asia_Noel_ and explore her world of sacred storytelling, motherhood, and healing rituals. You can also find her on Linktree at Asia Noël. This was the Hydration with Heart segment, made possible by Once Upon a Coconut, the coconut water brand that understands hydration is more than what you drink, it's how you live. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Once Upon a Coconut.
Discover the refreshing taste of 100% pure coconut water that actually tastes great. Naturally sweet with no artificial flavors or added sugar. It's packed with electrolytes to keep you hydrated throughout your day. And with 10% of profits going to charity, every sip makes a difference. Pure taste, pure goodness. Experience nature's Gatorade. Visit Once Upon a Coconut or naturesgatorade.com.